Cleveland's got to prove it to me in the playoffs. They have to show. And the thing with Cleveland is Evan Mobley and Jared Allen. Allen more so. Allen, who's been on a tear. I mean, over the last 2.5, 3 weeks, there has not been a more productive big man in the NBA, if you look at the numbers. Jared Allen has been on a mammoth tear for the Cavs. You see, I've got them at 4, and I've got them at which is self-explanatory to see Boston at 3. And revisiting this argument, Boston's no lower than 2 for me now, but keep them 3 for the sake of argument here because it's more fun discussion for you and I. Cleveland is 4 because defensively, I don't know if I can trust their combination of players quite yet because Harden, they're doing so many different things on the offensive end of the floor, but the Cavs, Mobley is an elite defender. We're going to get back to him in a second. He's an elite defender. But this is a team that has not been able to prove that they can consistently string it together on the defensive end of the floor. I mean, they're currently sitting at 12th in the NBA in defensive rating, and that's lower than the other 3 teams that we're considering here, and it's lower than Miami, Toronto, who I think is feisty and a very interesting team, and it's hovering right around the Magic, who frankly have been underwhelming. Now they're 5th in offensive rating. And New York are ahead of them in that column. So I know why you've got them 3. And I think you've got them 3 because at the end of the day, Donovan Mitchell and James Harden with Mobley, Allen, and the core, there's more different ways to beat a defense. And there's more star power there, superstar power, and buckability on the perimeter than there is in Detroit on paper. But these games aren't decided on paper. And the Cavaliers, Donovan Mitchell is dealing with the pressure of not making a conference finals, and so are the Cavs. And Allen, for as good as he's been the last 3 weeks, back to the initial point, Allen has had playoff demons. Evan Mobley's lack of offense and lack of ways that he can score has shown up in the playoffs where teams are saying, we'll dare you to shoot. And sometimes those have been converted, but there's been a lot of times where they have not. And then you say, okay, can a Sam Merrill consistently show up? Can Jalen Tyson trans the playoffs? Last year in the beginning of the playoffs, Ty Jerome has a massive game. And then you're thinking maybe Cleveland has a different gear. Maybe that gear is going to be seen here. Then they got pushed around. They got out-muscled. They were weaker mentally. Is James Harden going to lift this team mentally in the playoffs? Have some of his been because he's been in the very, very difficult Western Conference and now in the East, he's going to be able to function properly with Donovan Mitchell? These are real questions that the Cavs have to answer still.
I think they're all real questions. And I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of people shouting at the podcast right now saying, James Harden's also a choker. That's what they're saying. Harden's a choker. That's part of it out there. I think with Harden, fair complaint in some of the game 7s and whatnot. But as I've said many, many times over the years of the podcast, you can't just ignore some of the highs he's experienced in the playoffs either. And I think you mentioned the pressure of this team, and that's part of it. You can look at that as a negative, but you can also look at it as a positive. This is a team that hasn't gotten over a hump with players who haven't gotten over the hump. Mitchell, of course, still younger, but James Harden as well. Who's to say he's not going to be like Jason Kidd winning his first finals at 38, right? Or Kevin Garnett at 32 with Boston, or Dirk at 32. There's these star players who have won their first finals later in their careers. And so with James Harden, it's very possible. And I think with Harden as well, the playmaking ability, what he adds, is very clearly already an upgrade over Darius Garland. The chemistry that he's already developing with Jared Allen, I'm impressed by. It hasn't shown quite in the numbers yet, results-wise, but those guys look good together. They've run about 15, 16 pick and rolls per game together. And overall, I like the fact his usage is lower this season for the Cleveland Cavaliers. He's scoring 18.7 points per game, down from 25.4 with the Clippers, taking 11.5 shots per game, down from 17.5 per game with the Clippers. He's running 23 pick and rolls per game, down from 31.6 with the Clippers. So you're getting more with less with James Harden. There's less on his plate, and he's able to pick his spots more, where he's some nights going to be the fourth scorer for your team or the third scorer on your team. And then there's other nights when he's feeling it, where he can be your number one. And so I think that's where I look at Harden in this Cavs ecosystem. And I'm like, okay, you're going to typically get the best out of Harden considering the other options that are out there. And so I have them third in part for that reason, John.
But one thing, like Sunday afternoon, the Cavs, they kind of made fools.
They laid an egg.
With the commentary. What's that?
They laid an egg.
Well, they laid an egg, but they also then followed it up by complaining that the Thunder foul and that it's not called. First off, they're the reigning champions. They're at home. They guard. Like, okay, you wanted more fouls? You weren't winning the game with more. Let's just say it's 3 or 4 more whistles. I'm sorry, you weren't. Look at this. Defensively, they didn't come ready to play. I mean, the start was slow. Did they finish stronger? I guess. But like Oklahoma City, shorthanded. You're down multiple marquee stars, and it didn't matter because the Cavaliers don't have a consistent defense, and then they get pushed around. That's the biggest thing, Kevin, is that the Cavs have not had that edge. And that's why, so you've got the Knicks down to 4. The Knicks have still shown me in the springtime more of an edge from their leaders than we've seen from the Cavs. But as we've talked about, the only way that you fight off that demon is by showing us it. They have, everyone's like, well, the Knicks have an immense amount of pressure to win a championship. You don't go and get James Harden unless you feel an immense amount of pressure to win now.